Hey guys, Andy back here from Mediocre Hobbies, bringing you the next Legion playlist video. This time we're working on one of my favorites. They've always been cool. They're a fan favorite of many of you guys. And that is, of course, the World Eaters. Not a particularly easy color scheme to do with the bright blue and the eggshell colored, cream colored armor. I used a lot of reference pictures to try and find the correct tone for the white armor, as it's not exactly white armor, but it was a lot of fun. And befitting World Eaters, I did some chip damage and some extra blood effect at the end just to tie it all together. So sit back and enjoy the video. Okay, we started with the traditional Chaos Black and then Zenithal of Grey Seer sprays to get this model ready for painting. I started with Ultramarines Blue contrast, and that's for all of the different blue aspects of the color scheme. So the shoulder pads and then the casings of the weapon, I decided to go for the blue as well. It was hard. Some of the reference pictures had the casings one color, another one had them another color. I decided to do the blue just to kind of keep a little bit more interest and a little bit more color in the scheme. And then there's specific parts of the backpack that the World Eaters have blue as well. So I suggest you do what I did. Go on and Google, search for your 30k World Eaters and find whatever mark of armor is in the color scheme you want, and that should show you where all the blue needs to go. Once you've done that step, you move across to Leadbelcher, and this is just to fill in all of the metallic parts of the miniature. So the teeth of the chainsword, plus the casing or the engine bit of the chainsword, finger guard. There's some pipe work on the back of the backpack that also needs to get done. And then whatever's left of the plasma pistol, bolt gun, whatever you guys are doing, do that in with the silver as well. So it's a quick and easy job. Next, it's time to move over to the Retributor Armour Gold. And this is the color that we'll use for the trim on the shoulder pads. I do like that. Gold accent really helps make Space Marines pop. It's actually one of the things I'm nervous about with the new Heresy box set coming out with the new Mark 6 armor. They have no shoulder pad trim, so I feel like a lot of armors are just going to be this mono color. So it's a challenge for another day, but we'll get to that when we get the box set in our hands. So here is the miniature that I feel is all the base coats are on, and it's time to shade the model down and get it ready for the layering stage. So for this, I went for a Nuln Oil. Some of you now might be screaming at this point in the video, putting Nuln Oil over a white scheme. But if you look at, once again, the art and reference pictures, all the grooves and cracks in this armor in all the artwork is very dark, very black. So I thought a cheeky Nuln Oil wash all over it. It will turn the white to a kind of a gray tone, but that's okay. We're going to be layering over it in a minute anyway, but it will give you those crisp, nice shaded parts of the model, which I think it's easier to do it this way around and layer back up the flat panels than it is to panel line or go in and try and just create those shadows. I like to work this way, and I think it's a lot faster. So it's going to take a couple of minutes to shade the entire miniature, and then pay attention to the miniature and make sure it's not pooling anywhere. Once the shade is fully applied, it should look something like this. Now all we need to do is wait for it to dry and get the model based up as well. Okay guys, while the shade is drying on the miniature, I will also get the base done on it. And I just want to take this opportunity while it's all drying to thank you guys so much for your continued support. If you're enjoying these videos, make sure you hit the like button below. If you're excited for the rest of the Legion playlist and the rest of the Horse Heresy content that I'll be bringing out, make sure that you do hit that subscribe button and knock the bell to be notified when I upload a video. I promise I'll be doing many Horse Heresy videos, including one on the new box set when it comes out. Thank you guys so much for watching, and let's get back to the video. Okay, so the shade has dried and we've gotten the model based as well, so that when we go on to this bit now where we're layering it up, we're in the home stretch. Once we finish the layering process, the miniature will be finished. We don't have to worry about basing it after the fact. So time to move over to the white cream pallid color that I decided was the closest to the reference pictures that I could find, which was Pallid Wych Flesh. Now this is a layer paint, which means that it's not that strong and pigment. So you will require 2 coats on the armor to get it looking nice and crisp. This is by far the most tedious part of painting a World Eater Marine. It's not a bad stage, it's not annoying or anything like that, it just takes the longest amount of time. I'd say all in all for the 2 coats of layering, it's maybe 10 minutes of time, maybe less, 8 minutes of time. So 8 minutes per Marine. Yeah, it can take a little while. Especially if you're doing them in squads of 10 or 20, which is a common occurrence on the battlefields of the 30k horse Heresy games. So this is the first coat, and as you can see, it's a little bit streaky, a little bit blotchy. So we just simply go back in with the second coat of Pallid Wych Flesh, and you'll see how smooth it goes on with the second coat and how much it pops. The second coat is actually quicker to apply than the first coat because you don't need an all-over coat. It's just where things are blotchy or where the light is hitting the miniature the most. So his big flat chest, for instance, the top of his head, any of the greaves, you need to get in there and make sure that that's nice and smooth. But other bits that are tucked away in armpits or underneath other armor parts, you don't really need to go in and give them a second coat. No one's eyes are going to be trained to that particular part of the miniature. So for instance, this chest that you can see here, as you can see, there's a big blotchy bit right across the middle. You go in with the second coat. As you can see, I'm covering up the blotchy bit. I'm not trying to go all the way up to the nape of the neck or anything like that, because that was fine with the first coat. With the 2 coats applied, the white armor is complete. White armor, cream armor, not really sure. Now it's time to pull that blue back up again. So we're actually going to go back to Macragge Blue. This is another one where I went back to the reference pictures a bunch of times. I was looking through all my blues, and then I decided that I think Macragge Blue is actually the closest to the World Eater Blue. So I just went in and quickly layered up all the blue parts with that color again. Once again, leaving the null oil in all the recesses and stuff like that. This is just for all of the raised parts of the miniature. There's something very therapeutic about the layering stage of painting that I find. Kind of tidying everything up and getting it ready. And then onto those nice crisp shoulder pads. Have you ever noticed that I turn the miniature a lot when I'm painting? I don't turn the hand that has the brush in it. That's how I manage to keep things steady and neat and tidy. The model moves around the brush doesn't move around the model. Do you guys agree with that, or does your paintbrush hand go all over the place? Let me know in the comments below what way you use to steady your hand. This is the way that I've done it for years, and I think it's working so far. Leadbelcher is back in again just to pull all of the metallic parts back up again. Quickly layering on all the teeth of his gnarly chainsword. Casing of his gun, all those bits and pieces. All the bits we did silver earlier on that have been dulled down by the null oil. We want to go in and layer those up, just like the blue. Leave the null oil in all the cracks and recesses. Add that depth of shade and highlight. The other thing that we are going to do with the Leadbelcher paint in the layering process, we're actually going to use this to layer up the gold parts. If you've watched a bunch of my videos, you've seen me do this before. If this is your first time watching my videos, then yeah, I tend to go back in and highlight gold with silver. I find it adds a really nice kind of tarnished color to it. I think it works for certain legions, certain color schemes where the gold is not supposed to be this pristine, beautiful thing. All World Eaters are quite militaristic. They don't really have a lot of pomp and ceremony. The armor would be cleaned after a fight, maybe hosed down, that's about all they get. But so things would certainly get a little bit more tarnished than some of the other legions. I've also taken that opportunity to paint his eye lenses with silver as well. The reason for that is we can go onto this Talassar Blue contrast paint, which will give us a bright blue effect, and I'm going to use this for the coils of the plasma pistol. And we're going to go into the eye lenses as well. And this basically gives you this kind of glowing blue effect, nice glazed over effect for the eye lenses. It works really well as a really quick way to paint eye lenses. I know there are other ways with the dot of white in the top right and the curved down paint. I mean, they're beautiful if you're painting anything for a competition or a character. But like I said, if you're painting these miniatures 20 at a time, and that only makes up one squad, you might want to cut down on some of those steps, make it a little bit neater and tidier and faster. Okay, so now we're on to the stage where this model is too pristine for a World Eater. So I've done this on a couple of the other Legion videos with the chipping damage. I've done it a couple of different colors for different armors. For this one I went for a traditional black. And basically you load up the weathering stick, which is just a bit of foam. You can pull a bit of foam out of a spare case if you have it, or someone in one of the comments in the first video suggested a normal dish sponge you get in a shop for a couple of euro, and tear off little bits of that and use that to stipple on. So that was a great suggestion, whoever did that. And you basically just want to keep adding chip damage to this until you're happy with the amount of chips on the armor. Less is always more. Just use small amounts of chip at a time until you get the desired effect. Don't just blob a big bit on at the start, because it's always really hard to remove that. Next is time for Blood for the Blood God. And as you can see, I've loaded up a flat dry brush with the tip of it, and I'm going to just flick it back and forth, choosing to focus on the right hand side of the miniature because that's the side that his chainsaw sword is in. And as he's obviously striking down people, the blood effect is going to go right up that side of his armor. So that's the direction that I'm going to be flicking the blood at the model. And just like before, you have a little bit of blood at a time, flick on. It may not seem like a lot is going on, but miniature-wise, it's going on quite well. You can see all the splashes up his shoulder powder and all across his armor. And then last but not least, with the same brush, I'm just going to dab the goblets of blood around his chain sword. Just add the final touches to this miniature and give you a finished 30k World Eater. And this is the final result of that. I really hope you guys liked the video. If you did, make sure you give it a like. If you're not already, please subscribe to the channel. It helps me out immensely. Only about 25% of people that watch my videos are subscribed, so it would mean a lot if you hit that subscribe button. And if you have any questions about anything I've done here today, make sure you drop them in the comments below, and I will get back to each and every one of you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.